Welcome back to the channel Coins Collector everyone, and thank you for tuning in again today. If you are new here, my name is your host and I am always excited to bring you stories, research, and market updates from the fascinating world of coins, collectibles, and rare currency. Today we are going to dive deep into a coin that looks so ordinary to most people but in reality can be worth life-changing money. We are talking about the 1988 1-cent United States coin, the penny that you could easily mistake for any other common cent sitting in a jar or lying on the ground. Yet, certain examples of this coin have been auctioned and sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine finding a single cent that carries a market value as high as $533,000. That is the kind of treasure hunt that excites collectors and brings new people into the world of numismatics every year. Let's start at the beginning. The 1988 1-cent coin is part of the Lincoln cent series. On the obverse side, the front of the coin, we have the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. This design has been used since 1909 when it was first introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 1988 this design was a long-established part of American coinage. On the reverse side of the coin produced at that time we still see the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. That reverse design began in 1959 replacing the original wheat ears design, and it continued until the early 2000s. At first glance nothing about the 1988 penny seems unusual. Millions upon millions were minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. In fact, the total mintage was in the billions. For most people that would mean the coin is common and only worth a cent, but in coin collecting rarity is not always about how many were made. It can also be about special varieties, minting errors, or transitional designs that slipped out of the mint. That is exactly what makes the 1988 penny so interesting. There exists a variety known as the 1988 penny with the reverse of 1989. In other words, a small design change that was supposed to appear beginning in 1989 accidentally appeared on some coin struck in 1988. The difference is subtle, so subtle that most people never notice. It lies in the design of the letters near the Lincoln Memorial. On the reverse, the style of the initials FG for designer Frank Gasparo is slightly different between the 1988 and 1989 reverses. Collectors discovered that some 1988 coins carry the newer style reverse, and that discovery turned those coins into highly prized collectibles. This type of variety is known as a transitional design error. They happen when dies that were prepared for one year are accidentally used on coins of a different year. It is not a mechanical mistake like a double strike or a clipped planchet. Instead, it is a mistake in the die preparation process. These coins tend to be very scarce, and because of that they can command massive premiums when sold at auction. Now, why does this matter to collectors? For one, it represents a fascinating piece of minting history. Collectors love coins that tell a story, and a transitional reverse tells the story of a changeover at the mint that was not perfectly controlled. Second, it creates a coin hunt. Everyday people can still potentially find one of these in circulation because it is not as visually obvious as some dramatic mint errors. That possibility drives attention and excitement. Finally, the actual market prices have proven that demand is strong. When we talk about the market value, numbers can truly be shocking. A normal 1988 cent in circulated condition is worth exactly 1 cent. Even in high mint state condition, with full red luster, it may only be worth a few dollars. But the transitional error coins are entirely different. High-grade certified examples with the reverse of 1989 have been listed and sold for extraordinary amounts. Some sources report sales that reach into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. One of the most famous figures circulating in the numismatic world is that an example has been valued at up to $533,000. That number captures attention because it shows just how dramatic the difference can be between ordinary pocket change and a rare error variety. Think about it for a moment. Imagine pulling a penny out of your change at the grocery store. You look closer, send it off for grading, and find out it is a transitional error worth more than $500,000. That is the kind of story that makes headlines and draws new collectors into the field. Stories like these are not just about the money either. They are about the thrill of discovery, the idea that hidden treasures still exist out there in plain sight. Of course, not every 1988 cent will be valuable. In fact, the overwhelming majority will not. But that is why education is important. Collectors need to learn the tiny design details to look for. The difference in the FG initials on the reverse is the key. Under magnification you can see whether it is the 1988 reverse or the 1989 reverse. If it turns out to be the latter, you may have something very special. The condition also matters greatly. Coins in uncirculated mint state condition with strong red color are far more valuable than coins that have circulated heavily and become brown and worn. Let's also touch on the role of grading. Professional grading companies such as PCGS and NGC provide authentication and assign a grade that determines market value. For a coin like this, authentication is critical because collectors want to know they are truly buying the transitional variety. Without certification, it would be very difficult to sell for high value. Once certified, the coin can be placed in auction and attract serious bidding. That is how we see results in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Another important factor is the broader coin market. Rare coins often increase in value when demand is strong among collectors and investors. Over the past several decades, the coin market has seen waves of popularity, with certain eras and varieties gaining momentum. The 1988 transitional penny fits right into this trend. Its combination of rarity, historical importance, and the allure of a coin worth more than a house keeps it in the spotlight. For those of you watching, this is a great reminder to always check your change. It costs nothing to pay attention, and you never know what you might find. Even if you do not discover a $500,000 penny, you might still come across coins worth $5, $10, or more. Many collectors build enjoyable hobbies just by hunting through pocket change and rolls of coins from the bank. To wrap up, the 1988 1-cent coin is a symbol of how numismatics transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. On the surface it is just a copper-plated zinc penny like billions of others. But with a small change in design and the accident of a transitional die, it becomes a legendary collectible. Some examples are said to have reached values as high as $533,000, proving that the tiniest details can create life-changing value. Whether you are a seasoned collector or just starting out, the story of this coin shows why it pays to look closely, study the details, and never overlook the coins in your hand. So thank you again for joining me in today's deep dive into the history and market of the 1988 penny. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss our next exploration into the hidden treasures of coin collecting. And remember, the next big find might already be in your pocket. Today we are diving deep into one of the most surprising and fascinating stories in the world of coins. This is not just another penny. This is the story of the 1998 1-cent United States coin that shocked collectors and investors alike with its staggering value on today's market. Some of these coins that most people would overlook as just pocket change have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, with record prices reaching an incredible $443,000. That is right. A single cent. A penny that you could easily have passed through your hands or spent without a second thought could be worth life-changing money. So grab a seat, because in this video we are going to explore every detail. We are going to talk about the history of the 1998 penny. We are going to cover why certain examples are so rare and so valuable. We are going to look at how to identify these coins and what makes them different from ordinary cents. And of course we are going to examine the current market demand and explain why collectors are willing to pay so much for what was once considered the humblest coin in American currency. Let us start by setting the scene. The year is 1998. In the United States, the 1-cent coin had already been redesigned several times through its long history. By 1998, the familiar Lincoln cent design was still in circulation. This design featured the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side. That portrait had been used on the penny since 1909, when it was first introduced to mark the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The reverse side in 1998 still displayed the image of the Lincoln Memorial, which had been introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That design replaced the earlier wheat ears design. By the late 1990s, pennies were produced in massive quantities. Billions of them were minted each year at facilities such as the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Because of this sheer number, most people never imagined that a penny from the 1990s could be valuable. After all, collectors usually focused on older coins like the Indian head cents of the 1800s or the early wheat pennies of the 1900s. Yet, as is often the case in numismatics, the value lies not just in the age of a coin but in its rarity, its condition, and in certain unusual varieties or errors that can occur during the minting process, and that brings us to the mystery and excitement of the 1998 1-cent coin. Most examples are worth just 1 cent or maybe a few dollars if they are in pristine mint condition. But hidden among the billions struck there exist rare varieties that collectors discovered only after years of circulation. These are the coins that have shocked the market by reaching jaw-dropping prices. One particular example has been recorded at auction, selling for over $443,000. Imagine finding that in a jar of spare change. Now you might be asking, what makes the 1998 penny so special? The answer lies in a combination of factors. One key reason is the discovery of coins with unusual proof like strikes and double dies. A double die occurs when the design on the coin is impressed twice at slightly different angles during the minting process. This produces a coin where details such as the lettering, the motto, or even parts of Lincoln's face look doubled or distorted. To the untrained eye it might just look like a slight blur, but to collectors it represents a rare and highly desirable error. Some of these double die pennies are so scarce that only a handful are known to exist. Another factor is the distinction between coins struck with proof dies versus circulation dies. Proof coins are specially made for collectors and usually have a sharp mirror-like finish. In 1998, some cents were struck with proof dies that accidentally entered circulation production. When found, these coins stand out instantly for their deep detail and striking finish. Because they should never have been released into general circulation, they carry a huge premium when they surface. Condition also plays a massive role. A coin that has been well preserved and graded at the highest levels by professional services like PCGS or NGC can command enormous sums. The coin that fetched over $443,000 was in gem mint state condition, meaning it was virtually flawless. Most coins in circulation get scratched, dented, or worn down, but an untouched high-grade example can become a superstar in the auction world. What is fascinating about the 1998 cent is that it is a modern coin still well within living memory. Unlike colonial coins or ancient currency, the 1998 penny could still be hiding in a drawer in your house or resting at the bottom of a piggy bank. Every time someone sorts through old coins or rolls of pennies from the bank, there is a chance that one of these rare varieties might turn up. That possibility has fueled a surge of interest among everyday people who now look more carefully at their change. The market value today shows just how much demand there is. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar for rarity and perfection. As of now, auction records have solidified the value of some examples at hundreds of thousands. Even more common varieties in near-perfect condition can still bring in impressive prices of hundreds or thousands of dollars. It goes to show that numismatics is a world where knowledge pays off. Those who know what to look for can spot treasure where others see only loose change. So as we continue with this video, keep in mind the lessons this coin teaches us. Never underestimate the small and the ordinary. That penny sitting in a cup holder or rattling around in a jar might be worth more than gold. The 1998 1-cent coin proves that history, value, and rarity can combine in surprising ways. It is not just about money either. Each coin tells a story. It connects us to the year it was minted, to the people who used it, and to the long tradition of American coinage. In just a moment we will take a closer look at how to identify the key markers of the rare 1998 penny. We will go over the features to watch for on the obverse side, such as doubling on the motto "In God We Trust" or on the word liberty. We will also cover the reverse, where details of the Lincoln Memorial can show unusual doubling. We will talk about mint marks such as the D for Denver or the absence of a mark for Philadelphia. We will explain how proof-like finishes can be spotted by their mirror shine. And finally, we will review what grading standards mean and why professional certification is so important if you want to sell a valuable coin. But before we dive into that, just think for a moment about the excitement this creates for collectors. Imagine the thrill of searching through a roll of pennies and finding one with a rare double die. Imagine the suspense of sending it to a grading service and waiting to hear back that it is indeed genuine. Imagine the shock when that same coin sells for a record price. This is what makes coin collecting not just a hobby but an adventure. The 1998 1-cent coin represents the dream of finding hidden treasure in plain sight. So welcome back again to the channel. You are in the right place if you love history, if you enjoy learning about rare finds, and if you want to know what treasures might still be out there waiting to be discovered. Stay tuned because we are just getting started. The 1998 1-cent USA coin is more than just a penny. It is a piece of history, a rare collectible, and in some cases a fortune in disguise.